Though not as mainstream as the NES, the Master System, which is now nearing its 40th anniversary, has its fair share of rare and expensive games. I myself was surprised by some of the prices and titles on this list. What rarities do you think will make it onto this list? This is Super Game Ghost, and you're watching the top 10 rare and expensive Sega Master System games.
Number 10.
Alf is a side-scroller that was released in 1989. Alf is based on the popular American sitcom of the same name that aired in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Not only is this game one of the rarest and most expensive games on the Master System, it is also one of the worst, if not the absolute worst game on the Master System. The game's development budget was next to nothing, and its producer was even reportedly opposed to releasing Alf, as he was not exactly thrilled with how the game turned out. I played an entire 5 minutes of this game before I completely gave up on it. That must be some sort of record. Alf complete in box goes for $160.
Number 9.
Dick Tracy is a beat-em-up released in 1991. It is a video game adaptation of the popular comic strip and 1990 film of the same name. This game isn't as bad as Alf, but it sure isn't all that great either. The gameplay follows a bi-directional beat-em-up style where enemies come at you from either the front or the back. The biggest issue with this game is how only select stages allow you to use Dick's handgun. Sales for this game were pretty low thanks in part to a botched development and release cycle, the issue being that the game only hit retailers 8 months after the film's debut and 2 months after its home video release. Dick Tracy goes for $170.
Number 8.
Asterix and the Great Rescue is a platformer released in 1995. This game was released for the Sega Master and Game Gear. The Sega Master version was originally only released for the European market in 1994, and it seems like it also saw a limited release for Brazil in 1995. In Asterix and the Great Rescue, players take on the role of the titular character, Asterix, as he embarks on a quest to rescue his friend Obelix, who has been captured by the Romans. This game is a decent platformer. It's a little above average for the 8-bit era, but nothing too groundbreaking here. Asterix and the Great Rescue goes for $190.
Number 7.
Power Strike is a shoot-'em-up released in 1988. This game is essentially a reprogrammed version of the Japanese release, Aleste. The key difference in the US version is the removal of the anime-style storyline as well as an entire level. Power Strike was a mail-in order only game and was not initially available at retailers. Later down the road, Toys R Us and other retailers began selling this game. The original mail-in order version with the blue and white box art is the more sought-after version. The Aleste series of games are renowned shoot-'em-ups, and though Power Strike is a stripped-down version, it is still a very solid game. Power Strike goes for $220.
Number 6.
Outrun is a racing game released in 1987. Outrun was originally released for the arcade in 1986. It saw great success and was soon ported to numerous consoles, where it had also triumphed with millions of copies of the game sold. The game itself is quite simple. In Outrun, players take on the role of a driver behind the wheel of a Ferrari Testarossa Spider, speeding through a series of scenic routes with the goal of reaching a checkpoint before time runs out. Hence the name Outrun. This seminal game influenced numerous racing games released in later years and has spawned an entire genre of music with which it shares its name. Outrun goes for $250.
Number 5.
Golden Axe Warrior is an action RPG released in 1991. A spin-off of the Golden Axe hack-and-slash games, players assume the role of a hero tasked with retrieving 9 crystals to restore peace to the land of Firewood. The game features top-down exploration of an overworld map filled with towns, forests, mountains, and dungeons. This game is basically a Zelda clone with a higher difficulty setting and a much less memorable gameplay experience. It was only released in Europe and North America, and for whatever reason had not been released for the Japanese market. Golden Axe Warrior goes for $360.
Number 4.
The Aladdin and GP Rider double pack was released sometime in the mid to early 90s as an Australian market exclusive. An interesting thing about the SMS systems is that they are mostly region free. The main exception being Japanese and Taiwanese game cards, which would just physically not fit into a North American SMS system. The Australian publisher Aussiesoft was Sega's primary manufacturer and distributor of Sega products in Australia. A variety of double packs, some with silver plastic cards, were manufactured by Aussiesoft near the end of the Master System's lifecycle. I suspect that this particular double pack is quite rare and expensive because both Aladdin and GP Rider were both exclusive to the PAL region. The Aladdin and GP Rider double pack goes for $460.
Number 3.
Mahjong is a tabletop game simulation originally released in 1987. This game was originally released for the Japanese market under the name Mahjong Sengoku Jidai. This particular version was released in Hong Kong and is simply known as Mahjong. The Japanese and Hong Kong versions are completely identical to each other than their localizations. Not much else is known about this release. I assume that the rarity of this title is predicated on the fact that this particular release was only available in Hong Kong. Mahjong goes for $600.
Number 2.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a platforming game released in 1991. The 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog was developed in hopes of promoting Sega's Game Gear handheld. It was also released simultaneously for the Master System, and though not as iconic as its 16-bit counterpart, the Sega Master System version of Sonic is still a very well-made platformer. It is also regarded as one of the best titles available for the Master System. This game saw a very limited release for the Master System in North America, so naturally it is quite hard to find a North American version of this game. Sonic the Hedgehog is worth $630.
Number 1.
And the number 1 spot on the list is James Buster Douglas's Knockout Boxing. This title is a boxing simulation game which was released in 1990. This game went under many different names and reworkings. It was first released as James Buster Douglas's Knockout Boxing for the US market. A year later, in 1991, it went by Heavyweight Champ for the European and Brazilian markets. And in 1992, it was reworked and released as George Foreman's KO Boxing, exclusively for the European market. Buster's Knockout Boxing ended up being the rarest iteration of the game, thanks to a limited release brought on by licensing issues with the celebrity boxer. The game itself isn't too bad, and really just suffers from some poor control responsiveness. James Buster's Boxing goes for $1,200. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.